SanDisk, AMD, Micron. We got to talk about all three of these in here today. It seemed like just yesterday, and actually literally was just yesterday, it seemed like we couldn't buy a downtick in here. Obviously, coming in off highs in pre-market in here today, and then little pop, and then just an overall pullback in all three of these. So going forward, what are we looking at? Well, it looks like we're getting a little bit of correlation here with the SPY. So we have the SPY down at about 750. So we're going to see if we get a little pop in here tomorrow. Perhaps that'll give us a nice recovery in all three of these stocks. But on the weekly chart, we're going to dissect each of these and then talk about the volatility that is found in all three of these, because there is a lot and there's more coming in with that little pop in the VIX in here today. We're looking at SanDisk here first on the weekly chart, down around 116 bucks. Although pre-market, we did have that nice big jump in here. So actually, overall, we had a higher, or I guess a greater high to low in here if you're including the pre-market and after hours in here in SanDisk. But all in all, nice big move in here to the downside, sharp recovery midday, and then just kind of fading out with the SPY in here. We're going to see what happens as we continue throughout the rest of the week in here. Remember, we got a shortened week this week because of the holiday on Friday. So we only got about a couple days in here, but it looks like traders are pricing in about $132 expected move as of 4 p.m. in here, with Ivy rank sitting in 81. So on the weekly chart, what are we looking at? Obviously, it's those highs that came in today, 2167.33. Anything outside of there, we're going to chalk it up to that 2200 mark. To the downside in here, we are going to be watching that 1980, which we're about 11 points off of that right now, although in after hours, we're about $30 off of that or so currently. So that is going to be an area to watch. And then below there, we're looking at that 1900 psych level and then 1861. So a lot of big levels in here, and they're all on the table just because, I mean, look at our RSI in here. This thing has been overbought for a while. It seems like it doesn't care. We do have Micron earnings coming up next week, so that is going to be something that could push all of these stocks higher. So we have to keep all this in mind as we're trading this throughout the end of the week. Like we said, $132 expected move here in a couple days. If you go all the way out to July, a $500 expected move in here. So huge moves. Your options are really, really expensive in here just in general, because you're going to get those big swings. So take advantage of the overall skews in here. Again, everything's kind of skewed to the call side in here. Obviously, that changed a little bit today, but you can get some good prices in here in your spreads. So keep that in mind as you are looking at SanDisk. We're going to talk about AMD in here. This is another stock that basically did the same exact thing. We had these kind of fan trend lines in here that we placed a couple weeks ago, just because that this candle right here, although we did make a new high, we actually technically didn't close above this overall trend line. So we just left all these trend lines on here. And guess what? What do you know? We're actually respecting all three of these fan trend lines. So we're just going to leave them on here just because we like what it's doing in here. To the upside, what are we looking at? It's going to be those highs in here, 558. That is going to be our main area of concern, but we have to get back up there because now we're down about 8% on the day. We're trading down here at that 500 mark. We closed the day at 507. Your Ivy ranking here again is in the upper 80s. You will have a $23 expected move priced in the next few days. So although we are down $40 on the day, you got about half of that tolerance back in the next few days. So let's see what happens in here. Next week, it looks like about a $50 expected move. The following Friday, right around $58 of an expected move. You go all the way out to July, about 80 bucks. In here, outside, I guess coming down, we'll do a top down in here, right? So underneath that 558, really nothing stopping us besides the open of the week in here. And that's going to be right around that 530 mark. Anything below there, it's going to be the 527. That's come at from a high in here that came in about 3 weeks ago. Anything below there is going to be this lower trend line of our overall structure. That's basically what we're sitting up against right now, that 500 mark. Anything outside of here, we're going to chalk it up down here to that 481 mark, and then that 9-day EMA, wherever that does end up, that's currently sitting at 443. Kind of the same story in here, RSI through the roof, a lot of implied volatility. We got a little bit of correlation with the overall markets in here today with that pull down. So let's see what happens in here. Last but not least, we're going to talk about Micron, because it seems like really Micron and AMD and all these stocks, they are really the ones that are kind of pushing this whole market up. it seems like, although we are sitting on a short week in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just kind of place a little trend line in here, right here, so you can kind of see the trajectory of all this, although I'm not really sure if we're going to respect this or not, just because of what we've been doing in the past in here. But overall, you can see basically more or less nice big run up in here in the past month or so. Huge volatility coming back at the beginning of June 3 weeks ago in here. You had that big touch up in here at those 1089s, and then obviously it closed down here in the 800s. So this is concerning to us because we don't want this candle we're currently in to end up like this, but it looks like we're going to get saved up here with these 1000s. If not, then we're going to be trading back down below 1000. We're looking at 981, and then obviously below that, the 900 psych level. So worst case, 981 in here, but it looks like we might be holding on in here. We just don't want this candle to look like this. But all in all, we like the movement in here that we keep on going up, right? That's more for the good guys in here. Again, same thing as the other two stocks, RSI through the roof in here. Don't have to worry about that just yet. Just because there's nothing telling us otherwise, right? Oh, here it is. We're looking for a pullback. How high does your RSI have to go before you can confirm a pullback in here, right? It doesn't really matter. And especially because we have earnings coming up June 24th in here. So your IV rank in here is really high at 91. You got a $65 expected move being priced in by this Thursday's expiration. So only a few days in here. So really, we could be back in those low 900s. We could be back really up near 1100 again within just a day, especially if we get a big outlier move. If we get like a 3 or 2.5, 3 standard deviation move in the next 2 days. Obviously, we could be at 1200 or 800. It all kind of depends of what this stock is going to do. Obviously, look for your correlation between Micron, SanDisk, and AMD, because they most likely will all end up doing the same thing, but it kind of depends on the market, because we did get that correlation at the end of the day with the SPY going down and then these pulling back as well. So keep that in mind, especially on the sharp recovery we had in here today too. Keep in mind, in all three of these stocks, about midday, we came down and we hit those lows of I guess the midday, and then we had that sharp V-shaped recovery in here, and obviously faded out when the market came down. So keep that in mind, because that is what the market kind of did as well. So nice correlation all in all. Good IV in here. Don't get ripped off. Be careful. But take advantage in your spreads in here of the overall skew and your good juice in your premiums. So take advantage of that, but please try not to get ripped off when you are in here trading. So take advantage of the nice big volatility, the nice big moves in here. Just be careful when you're don't be trying to chase anything or anything like that. So that's what we're looking at in all three of these. These are probably the most volatile stocks right now, it seems like, in the market. Obviously SpaceX coming along with that. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Shortened weeks usually give us bullish movement, but that big gap up over the weekend kind of set us up to be in a bad place. So hopefully today's pullback was just a consolidation period. Hopefully tomorrow we can kind of get back up in there. If not, then look for some more pain. But let's see what happens in here as we continue out this shortened week. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We also have a Discord service if you are interested, and you can find all of our socials in the description below.